So tonight we're going to begin with a topic of concern very much on our minds. I don't know if we need some food out here or not. I don't know that. We all got to know Kendall Qualls, last year when he was running for CD3 against Dean Phillips. We got to know him, we got to love him a lot. He was always a good speaker, and afterwards he started this Take Charge Minnesota. And that is also becoming a huge success. It's very much needed. It's not only the way that we're going to save our country, of course, but this is going to be a lineage, I believe, in the 2022 election. He's here with us tonight, spreading the fight against critical spirit, and to begin a quick movement in turning the Black community to its cultural roots of faith, family, and education. And you've been on TV lately too. You were on Fox 3 times already. That's very good. Have you been on one yet?
Not yet.
You have a couple of groups, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's take your time. How many of you saw Laura Ingram last night? With Rashad Turner, founder and executive director of the Minnesota Parent Union, MPU. I'll just give him a little call out. He's not here yet, but prior to that, he was the founding Black Lives Matter president of St. Paul. And after a year on the inside, he did resign, realizing the organization does not support Black lives. It disrupts the nuclear family and blocks charter schools and school choice. There you go. Kendall Qualls.
All right, guys. Friends, thank you so much. I have to tell you, there was a time where after the election, someone introduced me, and they said, "This is Kendall Qualls," and he lost an election. I said, "Never introduced me as lost." I haven't won yet. It's good to be amongst friends. I have to always acknowledge that my wife is here, so Sheila's here. If you know that you haven't got a chance to meet her, please I have to tell you a quick story. So Sheila and I, we went to high school together, and whenever, I was in track and field, and whenever Sheila showed up to the track meets, I tracked the time. My friends tracked the time. I've always ran faster. She was around. And so, when the campaign with me last time, I always do better when she's around. So I'll make sure she comes with me. So here's what we're going to do tonight. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we're doing to Take Charge, how it got started. After the campaign, I've never been involved in politics. I'm planning to go back to the private sector. And so supporters came to me. A supporter said, "Look, what are you going to do next? I want to go back to work and provide for my family." Well, have you considered something else? Your message resonated in a big way. Although you didn't win, we really need that in our country right now. I said, well, you know what? Let me give it a try. Supporters wanting me to run again. I don't want to stick around and be a pundit and a talking head and criticize what's going on. We have enough of those people. I'm in the results-oriented world. So that's what we did with Take Charge. And so I'm going to give you a quick peek of a video that we produced, and I'll give you an idea if you haven't seen it. But the other part I want to just say, really, and support. When you think about the freedoms and blessings that we have had in our lifetime, we've really been living off of the fumes of our grandparents. And what they dedicated, sacrifices, that what we've been living through. So I'll just tell you a quick story. I remember as a kid living in Harlem. Sometimes it would be really cold, and we opened the oven in the kitchen to help warm up the house. And when it was one night, the pilot light went out, and the pilot light was old stove. It was low on the ground, underneath the oven. So usually the little kids got to go and light the pilot light. And that was me. And when you light the pilot light, you get up and you're all dirty. Well, right now in our country, The pilot light is out. And it's now for this generation. Because the kids that are in office, you know, in the city council, literally they're adults, but really they're only 14, they're adolescents in adult bodies. Us adults, those that love this country, know better. We got to get down on the ground, get a little dirty, and relight that pilot light for the next generation.
Yeah.
So what we're going to be asking people to do, we're going to ask people to do, we're not going to ask you to do a lot. We're not asking you to do a lot, we're going to not a lot at all. What we're going to do is ask a lot of people to do is just to do a little bit more. All of us Americans step out of our comfort zone. That's when they get noticed, and we'll talk about that in this presentation. I'm going to start us off with a video first, and see if we get the audio to work here with this. And we'll get started here. No.
Takes a while to warm up.
Yeah, it does.
Need a bigger hammer? It's coming on slow.
Here we go. All right, I'm not sure if you can turn on the front lights. If you can't turn, oh no.
It's difficult to see it. Who are you?
All right, here we go.
Mary, can we dim the lights?
I know half the room will go off, but can you turn the lights off?
All right, we'll just for now, just for time's sake, we'll do this.
Thank you.
Some more. Yeah, you please are here.
Can hear it?
We want America today to be labeled and used. But it's not because America is a systemically racist country. It is not. It is not. It's not. It's because the loudest voices who say they have all the answers are actually the problem.
There are progressive forces and organizations dividing us as a people and as a country.
They sow hatred and division to hide the real problems and keep us angry. We see this pattern repeat itself over and over again. We have to take a new course.
And now is the time to return to our cultural roots of faith, family, and education.
Over half of Black students in Minneapolis public schools are failing, but Black students in the same neighborhoods who attend private faith-based schools perform above national averages. Every parent should have the choice and the right to send their child to a safe and excellent school. And today, nearly 80% of Black children in the Twin Cities live day-to-day without their father. That's 4 out of every 5. But it didn't used to be this way. As recently as the 1970s, 75% of Black children lived in 2-parent families.
Having a mom
And a dad.
in the home is the quickest way to reduce poverty and gain equality.
Finally, every American is endowed with God-given rights, and those rights create opportunities.
We will succeed when we return to our faith in God
And the core principles of our nation. You see, there is a difference between being woke and being awakened.
There's a new movement growing in America.
To restore the institution of the Black family and secure our full rights and privileges as Americans. We invite you to join us. We invite you to join us.
We invite you to join us.
We take charge of our culture and our future.
So when we started this program just literally 6 months ago, the people in this video were all volunteers. Half of them I never met before. In fact, we have a few of them here in the room. I would ask you guys to stand up and be recognized.
saw anybody that's here that was in the video. Can we turn the lights back on, please?
So demanding.
All right, we'll get started while we fix the lights. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share with you a little bit about what we're doing with Take Charge and critical race theory training, and give you the idea. What does Take Charge mean? Basically, the subtitle that take charge of your life, take charge of your family, and your community. Americans do that. We don't need permission from anybody to live our lives. We just take charge of them. That's what I did to get out of my humble beginnings. With that said, we're going to go a little bit about why we're fighting against critical race theory, restoring the black community. Critical race theory, fighting back against it, and restoring the black family are the same coin. It's two different coins, okay? I want to share with you why and how the basis for critical race theory is literally anti-American. It's literally based on, I think it's a false narrative. It's the biggest, I thought the biggest shame since 30 May. Right? Why am I doing this? So we'll get started. So for me, this is a personal issue for me. The reason why I'm so strong about this whole idea that America works, because it worked for me. This is my family. I don't have a portrait of my family. This is the best I can do with a stick figure, literally. When my parents divorced, my mom moved us to her grandparents' apartment in Harlem, New York. And it was literally collateral damage. It was like a bomb went off on our family. Four of my siblings got involved in drugs. Three of them got incarcerated. You know what I saw in New York, looking at it from my perspective, I saw what kind of life I didn't want to have. You know, that seems pretty clear to me. I don't want to be like this guy who's barely standing up, who held up my mother in broad daylight. It was pretty easy for me. But obviously, you know, it affects, as you know, families, things affect them differently. I had the Christian cross here because when my mother prayed for all of us. I didn't come into the faith until later in my life. It had a profound impact, and I'll share why this is important. That's my dad in the middle. He's a drill sergeant. I tell people, once you get in trouble with a dad that's a drill sergeant, you only get in trouble once. Next time, you're on a missing person report. and that's, again, they came back from Vietnam, parents divorced, and moved from Fort Campbell, Kentucky, home of the 101st Airborne, to Harlem, New York. And that was overnight, the world had changed. You're not in Kansas anymore. It literally changed. I was there in elementary school for 4 years. My mom couldn't raise all 5 of us by herself. And I went back to live with my dad, me and my younger brother, in Taylor Park, Oklahoma. I think a lot of you know the story. And I tell people this, look, and this is it. I'm no one special. I'm not exceptional. I live in an exceptional country. I serve an exceptional God. If I can do it, anybody can. Amen. I have an average IQ on my best days. So, but here's the thing, the story is, it doesn't matter where you start in life. This country doesn't matter where you start in life, because where you start is not where you have to stay. I knew it started with an education, so I got as much of it as I could. So I paid my way through school in a small state school in southern Oklahoma. Went back to school, I was on active duty, got a couple of graduate degrees. I tell people, you know what, after I got the third master's degree, after 5 years, I found out that I didn't need that to be successful in this country. I already had a PhD. I go, what do you mean, Kendall? Well, I was poor, hungry, and determined. You know, if you fire in the belly, that's 75% of what they get, right? I'm not undermining education. I absolutely need education or a trade certification, either one. You can be successful in this country, but you gotta have the fire to do it. It's not going to be given to me, and that's fine. That just makes us who we are as Americans. So this is my career. This is five years in the Army. Served in Korea, right in DMZ, and I worked with some really great iconic companies. And Medtronic was one of them. And when Sheila and I, we moved our family here, and we consciously made this our adopted home state. Great quality of life issue, great place to live and raise kids, and that's what we did. But then it changed. It wasn't the same state as when we moved here. And so we felt obligated to do something to get involved to change it. For me, it was how do I distance myself from poverty? It was all about financial success and my career success. When I got out of the military, someone invited me to church, It was on a Sunday. Sheila was finishing up her master's degree back in Oklahoma. I was in Dallas at the time. And said, listen, family friend, I just went to be polite. And I called Sheila. I said, hey, we'll go to church. She goes, well, whatever you do, don't join. Don't become a member. I said, don't worry, I'm not. But you know what? It was a church where I actually heard the Bible taught very differently than I ever growing up. And Tony Evans was the pastor in Dallas, Texas. And it changed my life. My plan was to go in and come right back out. I went into the faith and I never left.
Amen.
And I tell you, it was when at the time Rodney King, the riots were going on, and he said, we can fix this racial thing just to live through the Bible. We don't need anything else, just biblical perspective. He said, first thing you do, when you become a Christian, that becomes your identity, not your skin color. And so that's what we did. That's how we lived. And so over the course of my career in life, Max Apale was one of our pastors. We lived in San Antonio. If you know him, a prolific author in the Christian community. And then later, Joe Stoll. And Joe Stoll used to be the president of Moody Bible College in Chicago. And so we've had some great training, some great mentorship. And we try to live, we're not perfect, we just live our lives in a way that I think will be honor our families, honor God, and honor our country. And that's what we are. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And when you have that faith, kind of faith in God, and you're appreciative of your country, guess what you do? You stand up for it. And that's exactly what I'm doing. This is my family. It's been a long journey in my life from where I started to where I am with my kids. I got a chance to visit the Heritage Foundation Conference in Austin, Texas. I just got back maybe 4 hours ago. I got a chance to visit my son. He graduated from St. Olaf, got a job in Austin, Texas, got married. I got a chance to see him down there. This is our family. They're the only ones in my side of the family, of their cousins. They have 25 cousins on the New York side. They're the only ones that know what it's like to grow up with a mom and dad at home. Only ones of the 25 kids. Now, I'm not saying the vote, it tells you the collateral damage. I know what's going on in the black community, and I know what the underlying problem is, and I don't care how they try to repackage it through critical race theory, it comes down to basics, and we're going to talk about that today. So, give you the historical perspective in the black community. Before the LBJ War on Poverty, nearly 80% of the black families were two-parent families. They were focused on three things: faith, family, and education. That's what it was: faith, family, education. So what happened? What changed? So nearly the timing around when Martin Luther King was assassinated, first thing happened in the black community, first time in American history, that you had a social program where it incentivized women to have children as long as they remain unmarried. When you say it like that, it sounds evil, it sounds amoral. You know why? Because it is.
Yeah.
And the fact that this has remained on the books this long is just a tragedy. And so you might, and in fact, these slides that I'm sharing with you is on our website at takechargemn.com, takechargemikenovember.com. And in this far left corner, you can't see from where you're sitting, is a graph of the percentage of caseloads of welfare cases that were enrolled between 1960 and 1970. It's over 200%. And what happened in that decade caused this. Daniel Patrick Moynihan, for those of you guys who know, Daniel Patrick Moynihan wrote a report that warned at the time that black Americans were 24% unwed, because if this continues, these people will be cut off from the financial benefits, from the idea of America. And he was told to sit down and think why he was racist, and he did. And what happened, again, on this graph, it goes from 24% to 75 in 2010. Now it's higher. Parts of the Twin Cities, we have information from Kendall County. Sadly, a lot of these kids, nearly 90% fatherless homes. Okay, I want to make sure I'm clear on this. These are not divorces, and these are fathers never in the home. Okay. What that caused was a significant drop in marriage. Okay, from 1960 to 2010, just over 25%. All of this data is published data, either the U.S. Census Bureau, or it's the CDC. This is public data. I'm sharing this with you so you get the facts. And I'm going to get to and get wrapped on these facts or the context of how we got here, and then what we're going to do to move forward. It's all about action. Okay, enough about the history. What are we going to do about it, right? That's me. But it has to be the context first. So that, my friends, is the beginning of disparity. It's not racial disparity. That was the beginning of the disparity from the family unit structure that we all know. I give there's a slide here that shows on here on the left, when the black community used to have 80% two-parent families, basically dads in the home, and on the right is the picture where you see today of these kids and how they dress outside. I tell people, if my hand touched the doorknob and I was dressed like those guys on the right, I'd have been a missing person before. I would never have something, Kendall. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay? That's the difference of having a father now. All right? We become number one in all the wrong things. All the wrong things. Again, this is published on our website. You can download this information. I'm going to go through this quickly. So this is the CDC report. Every year, the Center for Disease Control puts out a report on the health of Americans by demographics. This particular slide is the health of black males. Far left column is starting age with the pediatric population, so ages 1 to 19. Typically, the cause of death of birth defects, cancer, something birth-related. For pediatric population in the black community, for males, 1 to 19 homicide, number one cause of death. Okay, black on black, not police officer shooting.
Right,
homicide.
right.
And absolutely sad. Number 3 cause of death is suicide. Absolutely tragic. I'm going through these quickly. This is a busy slide. Far right column is where you look at the totals. This is again another, I think this is NIH slide. And this is diabetes. The number one demographic, diabetes is African American. Number one demographic for obesity, African American. Sexually transmitted disease, although only 12% of the population, number one in cases every year. Same thing for HIV. When it comes to these statistics, again, this is all published data. When you look at homelessness and runaway children, 90% from fatherless homes. High school diplomas, the dropout of high school, dropout from high school, 71%. All the wrong metrics. We have enough data now, 50 years of data, that shows the calamity of fatherless homes. Now, here's the tragedy behind this. And I'm just going to pause here for a minute, and we're going to do something about this, and it's going to come out in Minneapolis. As I got to get more involved in this, it really made me angry, to be honest with you. We've had, in my lifetime, from 80% two-parent families to 80% fatherless homes, without one national initiative to reverse the trend. Okay, the spotted owl got more help on the endangered species list than with the genocide of the American black family. No one took notice. We're going to do it. Coming out of Minneapolis, we're going to start seeing. All right, this slide here is actually measures kids in the Minneapolis public school system by demographic. Black kids in Minneapolis public school last in demographics. So you say, well, I can see that. They don't have fathers there. But you know what? These faith-based schools, these kids graduate, 90% of them graduate high school, and their test scores are above national averages. It's all about education. Here's a little secret. I'm going to expose this stuff. They're getting on the national stage, they don't know what's coming. Most of these schools have been funded and started by conservative white Christians. Well, there's the narrative they don't want anyone to know. Okay? Most of them, and the scholarships. A lot of people in this room may have done. Listen, I know, we all know, that for what we do and what we give, we know where our rewards are going to be met, right? We don't know most about it. But you know, it's tragic how the left exploits race when most of these schools are funded by the generosity of many people like in this room and around it, but we don't even know. And I want to make sure that's done as well. All right. Essentially Catholic schools, it just tells you the test scores. We don't need to go through that data there. Here's something I wanted, this came on the Wall Street Journal 2 years ago. Because in the Biden administration, what they're reimposing is, hey, this idea that these kids are getting expelled from school, and we're noticing that most of these kids are kids of color, they're black kids, and so you're discriminating against them. Like, you know what? It's like they don't even do their own analysis. And what I've learned, they don't want to do it.
Right.
And because they have a specific agenda by using these numbers. When you peel back the next layer, what this study says, what this article says, in a study that was done just a few years ago, that 2-parent black kids, they get expelled at lower rates than obviously from fatherless homes, but even more lower rates than the fatherless homes of white kids. What they're saying is, you know what, family structure matters, regardless of race. And barely a whisper. You never see these studies publicized anyplace else. But here, all right, here's what I share mostly with moms and dads in suburban communities. This fatherless home problems is coming to neighborhoods where we all live. This is not just in the black community now. It's the only reason why it looks like racial disparity from a critical race theory. I mean, the basis for everything they're pushing is look at the racial disparities that we see. Well, the only reason why it looks like that is because we have a 50-year head start. It's coming, the demographics is coming to neighborhoods across the country. For the first time in American history, 50% of all births are to women under 30 that are unwed. It's coming to white, Hispanic, other demographics as well. And here's the issue, that you'll never see the nuclear family being proposed by the left. They don't, it's almost like an anti-nuclear family agenda. And you know what, we know what other organizations have an anti-nuclear family agenda? Well, it go even larger. You know, there are a lot of socialist communist countries. They want to replace the state as the family. Right? So how are we going to change it? So there's the historical context. I want to give you the facts. The underlying, this is all published data. How are we going to do it? We're helping to return the community to the cultural roots of faith, family, and education. That's where the black community used to be. And when I say faith, that's where the country used to be. So we're just targeting this target right now, this gun, in a way where the community that needs it the most now. But trust me, once we get through the black community, we're going to go larger.
Good.
All right. So who's leading the charge? Well, we hear a lot of the Republican women in here, so this won't be a surprise. Moms. So moms are a catalyst of change. We've recruited mothers and grandmothers from the black community to help lead the charge. And look, we just started this program. We have nearly 25 people. Now, I wasn't expecting the first men to come on with the dads until maybe June, July timeframe, but we had our first cohort of men as well. So, like I said, some of the ladies are here. They're going to help re-educate our young people on this idea of marriage and expectation of marriage and faith, family, and education. We're using a lot of the nonprofits that are already there. So we're going to have a hospitality house that has 300 kids after school programs, Salvation Army. You're getting access to them to talk about faith, family, education. You know, we have over 200 nonprofits in the Twin Cities. Not one of them focuses on reconstituting marriage. Until now. All right, so we're going on the offense. So within a few short months, like I said, we recruited just about 25 people. What the goal is, they get between 75 to 100 women, moms and grandmoms involved to help us re-educate, reintroduce this concept. And we actually got a few good men. Guys, wait to Father's Day. This is going to be cool. So on Mother's Day, we took out a half-page ad on Mother's Day, and in the Star Tribune, focused on school choice with pictures of 20 women from the community talking about school choice and wanting to get their kids out of bondage out of Minneapolis public schools. Father's Day, I'm not going to count it. It's going to be even bigger. All right, so we're our efforts, we're giving the moms air support. And just again, with my military background, the ladies, the people that we're recruiting are boots on the ground. The air support is a lot of the media platform that we, so the videos that we produce, so the attention that we're getting in the press. That's the air support we're getting behind this effort. Every time I produce a video that goes out, I get emails from people from the community that want to come in and help. A lot of these ladies, these men involved, they're all doing this for volunteer. They want to help change the culture. No one's getting compensated for it. That's right. It is. I'm humbled by their efforts. I'm humbled by their stories and their background. We have people, ladies that used to be on public assistance, on welfare, turn their life around. They want to be involved in change. We have attorneys that are getting involved. Never had a bad background at all, but wanted to get involved. If you haven't gone to our website, watch Wayne's story. This guy, I tell you what, he tells about the power of God of changing people around, and I have a family of 5. This is incredible. And so those are the things we're doing, and what we're trying to do is put the framework together so we can export this beyond the Twin Cities. So we'll be doing that by the end of the year. All right, so here's the data. Again, what we're trying to do, everything we try to do, we're connected with people head and heart, intellectually as well as emotionally, for an appeal to around the values of our country, that it works. The idea of America works. Now, it's simple, but the effort is not easy. Anything that's worth anything is not easy. So I know that's just my kids. Get over it. Welcome to America. So we give them data on marriage. The Justice Department puts out a report every year. The safest place in a relationship for women and children are in a marriage relationship. How do we know this? Because they get 911 domestic abuse calls. And they go to those scenes for the calls, and most of them are domestic, live-in, ex-boyfriend, ex-boyfriend. Marriage is the safest place in a relationship. So this is what we share with the kids. We also share this with the guys. Hey, you know what? You want to live longer? Married guys live longer than single guys, cohabiting guys, shackup guys. You know what? Because they get the screenings. They get the cholesterol screenings. And I can tell you right now, it's not a vegan cholesterol screening. It's Sheila. Literally, she's like pushing me into the doctor's office. Go ahead and get the prostate check. Well, no, I can do it myself. I'm a grown But in all seriousness, there is a financial component too. Now here's this next 2 slides are the money slides, and there's no pun intended. This is the part where critical race theory, they don't want you to know about. So in the blue bars, you won't be able to see it up here. Again, you can download this off of our website. The blue bars are financial income. So far left are Asians in the United States. So by demographic, these are Asian Americans. Their earning power is just over $81,000 household income. The shaded bar, which you never see, is the percentage of unwed births in that demographic. It's like less than 10 to 11%. Okay? So it shows a direct correlation. As the percentage of unwed births are by demographic, and what you see is a lower in income by household. Okay, this is published data, U.S. Census Bureau. I think I got this from the Heritage Foundation 2 years ago. They don't want you to see that. They only give you the financial disparity. You never get a chance to see what correlation it has with the family. All right. This slide's update. So the first slide I showed you was 2017. I got a new one the other day. It's 2019. It's even worse. The financial numbers are going higher based on the structure of the nuclear family. There is a direct correlation. This is not a cause and effect. This is a direct correlation effect. Here's one slide right here. I shared this one with some of the guys at the state capitol, the legislators. This one slide alone should be causing policy changes across the country. Again, I'll explain the slide we're about to see here, but basically the blue slide, it says this is percentage of poverty by demographic. So on the far left, it says white, non-Hispanic, poverty in married families is 12% nationally. Single, head of household, 22%. and it corresponds. So in the black community, married families, 7%. I'm sorry, you know what? I'm sorry, I think I did this right there. 3.2. 3.2% for white families, two-parent families, 3.2 goes up to 22% from single-headed households. In the black community, single mom, fatherless homes, basically 35%. It dropped to 7% two-parent families. And this is more than just two parents working. There's just that whole dynamic, even if there's one person working in the family. This slide alone, when you can reduce poverty by that significant a rate, it should be policy changes, or discussions in legislatures across the country. But there's not. Again, the reason is, I tell people, you know what? There's one thing that the left hates worse than the Chevy Suburban. That's a nuclear family. This is something that is critical to the basic foundation of any civilization. It's a basic foundation of our faith, in the covenant of marriage, and that whole idea that you're creating a legacy now that's God honoring. This is something they don't want. And they'll never say this. Even all the beneficial data on marriage, it is never a component of the solution of critical race theory. It's all about taking from others to redistribute to others in the hope of getting equal outcomes. And we know that story. It's not the first time this has been tried, if you know history, right? So, concluding, guys, we'll end here quickly. This is what everyone right now in the country knows Minneapolis for. The death of George Floyd and the riots, right? The burning riots.
Not my home.
All right, and here's the thing that we're going to make sure that this is going to be known for with the work we're doing to take charge, that this is what's going to be known for, the resurrection of the two-parent marriage.
Would you like to take a few questions, Kendall?
Sure. Yes, I can take a few questions. Happy to do so.
Now, I'm not going to be able to get throughout the whole room, so either come on up here and grab a mic or speak very loudly. So I know we've got two people up there. You want to come on up?
So while they're coming up, I want to recognize
Come on up.
from the Center for American Experiment and
Come to me.
as well as Ron Evans Steiner, who's been a big supporter of what we're doing as well. I can tell you, Ron says, send me the emails that you get to our website. Ever since we started this thing, I'm sending him literally maybe 20 to 50, and now it's like 50 or so, with 100 emails a day. Supporting, so supportive of this. And half of those, when are you coming to our state? So.
All right, we have one question here.
Hi, I do some volunteer work at the Women's Life Care Center. It's a pregnancy resource center in Little Canada. And a lot of our demographics are these single women.
Yes.
But in order to apply for any type of federal monies or even monies that come from places like Target, we have to be very careful. We can't have anything in our office that would indicate a cross or anything that's Christian. We have to be so careful. Otherwise, we'll get tossed out.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. So here's what we're doing to develop these kind of partnerships. So we don't want to replace anything that other organizations are doing, but if we have access, we have got men and women that have lived that life, that would love to be mentors, coaches for women going through this, and let them know that there's a different route. So those are the type of partnerships that so you wouldn't necessarily have to do it, but you know a friend that knows a friend, that we can have those kind of conversations.
Yeah, because we would love to have you, come and work, and we'd like to work with you too, so we can share these women's stories and we can work together and make fun for these women too.
Oh, that'd be great. I'm business partner. We can connect that.
Do you have this presentation on video so we can take it to our school board meetings?
So the question is, do we have this on video? And the answer is no. But this is what I've been doing. So I started this as a request from moms and dads. I wasn't pitching this thing. Moms and dads and the suburbs were asking for my help back in February, and this is where we've gotten into. Now on the website, on the resource center, you get these slides, but also there's something that says, Kendall, they said, Kendall, this is great, but when I try to voice this stuff, the first thing they say is, hey, you're racist. So there's a script. Company, this is a script. This says, when they say this, you say that. When they say this, you say that. Okay, great. And there's an example of that. Again, you can download that, and I'll give you one quick example. You know, you easily can just say, look, I was a firm believer in what Martin Luther King said, is that it's content of character, not color of skin that makes a difference. And then you say this, this is going on offense. Are you trying to tell me that Martin Luther King was wrong? Just wait. Just wait. And let them tap dance, and they're going to say, well, you know, times have changed, and we need something different. Because then just say, who are you to change that mandate? Who gave you authority to do that? Okay. That's how we need to go into the office.
My question was, do you know the organization Every Black Lives Matter?
Yes, you know, so the question was Every Black Lives Matter. I met the guys who started that in Austin this last couple of days. They're from California. And they want to get together and kind of, you know, help do what they're doing. And, you know, this is going to spread. This is going to spread, yes. Yes. And they're a Christian organization as well.
So, Kendall, could you tell us about the response you've gotten from, I mean, the idea of bringing back marriage, bringing back the family sounds pretty awesome to most of us. Can you tell us about the response you've gotten from the Twin Cities media and from the people who run Minneapolis? I mean, you'd think they'd be greeting you with open arms, but?
No, you know what? So that's a good question. We know the media, and I'm sure that was a sarcastic question, but you know what the most heartwarming response we get from the black community? When I go directly to the people. I don't use brokers. I don't go to black churches. I go where the people are. And when I talk to women, they say, look, I would love to be married. You know, this is the other day. This lady's going to join us. She goes, on my birthday every year I pray that I do have a husband because I want companionship. They said, well, you're a strong black woman. Why would you? She said, people say that all the time. I said, I have to be a strong black woman. I don't have anyone else I can lean on. You know, God has designed us to be in relationship, to be in companionship. That's what we're going to restore. And I can't wait. So if you've seen any of the videos, real quick, I'm going to end this question with this. We've seen the videos that we've done, the quality nature. The next one we're going to be doing is on marriage. Yes. It's going to be a head and heart on marriage and making it cool again, and especially in the black community.
Good evening, thanks for coming. I'm going to ask, are you familiar with a fellow by the name of George Lang?
I'm not. No.
Okay, George Lang runs Freedom Works. Freedom Works is a rehabilitation system.
Yes.
Up in North Minneapolis. He's got about 140 beds of rehabbing people coming out of prison.
Yes.
He has gone through the cycle of being in prison and getting out, and finally he broke that cycle with faith in God, Christianity.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't know George Lane, but two of the board members from Freedom Works have met with me. They want to connect and have those guys involved as well.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Because George is now bringing the kids of these fellows that have been in prison into the program, so that we're putting the family back together.
Well, that's great.
You did a pretty good job, and thanks for thanks for doing all of this. This is amazing. We appreciate you. You did a pretty good job of explaining this, but I want you to do one more time, just draw that correlation between the black family and all communities and how you see it.
Well, so this is the neat thing. So we have a ton of people that have come out, suburban areas, but hey, look, they want to help. They don't care whatever. They know they're not racist. They want to help. This is God's centered love for human beings, for mankind. And so I've got a white paper, and this is something we're going to do. He's got a group of men in his church, and they want to do small studies. So they call small groups, Bible studies. They adopt a family in a black community that we recruit as part of Take Charge. And now you have a Bible partner mentor, hopefully a marriage coach, that type of thing. But now you already have a direct relationship with someone outside the community that you didn't have before. And so the relationship is not being brokered by any larger organization. The biggest issue that we have in our country with stereotypes is that a lot of people don't have relationships. You know, they get through and that's including black people.
Building bridges.
It's building bridges. But building bridges from a biblical, Christ-centered focus.
Appreciate it.
I'm a big fan, and one of the things that is really holding back the families from staying together is family court, so-called family court. The state of Minnesota says that one parent really is only mandated to have 10% time with their kids. And that's the divorce or the marriage, divorce attorneys have been fighting this because they don't want to make it 50-50 even on a divorce, which would help bring families together because they say it's going to be more abuse. There's no statistics to back that up. It's just completely made up. And I know Senator Limmer here, we've talked to him about that. But the state legislature they did pass it back when Dayton was governor, but Dayton was got to buy the divorce attorneys. So that would be a big help for the families in all.
It will. And once we start promoting more of this data about father involvement, the solution is a system. It was always funny. What, 50 years to figure this out, and that's what God is saying. I could have do that from the very beginning. But you're right. Once we start showing more data on the benefits children have on their fathers, that's when they can move. Because why would they repeat the data, right? Unless they have a different agenda than what we saw.
What is your position, or what do you see as the church, the larger sense of the church, on promoting fatherhood, that sort of thing, and marriage? Because my experience in the church, which hasn't been terribly long, 12 years, is that there's an awful lot of budget spent in other areas of the church. $2,000 in a, I don't know, 800, 900 people church. Critical, about 42 families in our church, homeschool their families. And we've got $2,000 on men's ministries and $4,000 on women's ministries and $80,000 on equipment to broadcast online.
Yeah.
So priorities are just really mixed up in the church. And where do you stand on that? Can you comment about that? And
yes.
Also, can you comment on just the authority of the father in his own home, the church? The church isn't given authority to
yes.
do that.
So let me answer that question. And it's very simple. It's unfortunate. So these are historical facts we live in. And you can either be shaped by history, watch it happen passively, or be involved to reshape it. I choose to reshape it. Here's the thing. The black family is often 80% two-parent families and 80% fatherless homes on the watch of the black community and the black churches. Okay? When I hear about the critical race theory coming into churches, all churches, I'm like, that's not consistent from anything I've learned. So what we're doing, we're going to strip people. The neat thing about our faith, we don't need permission from anybody. We already got permission. Yeah. He did that on the cross, right? And in our country, with the
Constitution as citizens, self-governing country, self-governing people, we don't need permission to do the things that we know is right to do.
That's right.
Okay? It's time to rewrite the plan. That's all.
Right.
You know, like, you're with me in my reset, so is there anything on that question that you wanted to say?
We are going to have a webinar on critical race theory here in a week or two. So if you're interested in learning more about this, come in on the webinar.
Dave.
All right. I want to give a call out to Josh Ciccone. Come on up here for a minute. He's a young man, a young teacher who is out there on Zoom talking about critical race theory. Tell us in just a couple minutes here what you've been doing.
Thank you, Mary. Again, my name is Joshua Ciccone. My background is in history, political science, and I just got my master's in teaching from St. Mary's last year. What I'm doing is I'm putting what I learned throughout my master's program into practice. My master's thesis had to do with civil discourse in a secondary level social studies classroom. That's kind of like discussions, argumentation, effective aspects of civil, good civil discourse aspects within the classroom. And one of those biggest issues that I see with civil discourse has to do with critical race theory. I've read many books in support of critical race theory, not because I like it, but because I want to know what it is. I want to get into the head of the left, of the socialists, and how can I disprove it within the classroom. And so what I did is I got together with two other gentlemen, and I founded an organization called the Racial Equality Initiative. At the moment, we only have a social media website. We're hoping to launch a major website from the Facebook site. Again, it's called the Racial Equality Initiative. We purposely chose the word equality, not equity.
Yeah,
we believe in equality and not equity. Right now, I'm traveling to different political meetings, different DPOU meetings throughout the Twin Cities, as well as throughout the state of Minnesota, speaking against critical race theory. The short-term goal of the Racial Equality Initiative is to ban critical race theory, specifically in the Anoka Hennepin School District. At the moment, I've spoken in front of the Anoka Hennepin School Board 3 times about critical race theory. My efforts were noticed beyond Anoka Hennepin. The school board of St. Francis, just to the north of Anoka Hennepin, invited me in April to work with them in a closed session with the board about critical race theory. So it's becoming much more professional, much more academic from different people in school boards. On May 13th, I spoke up in the city of Virginia. I didn't contact them. My efforts in the Twin Cities got to Virginia and reached out to me. Next Tuesday on June 8th, I'll be up in Grand Rapids speaking to the DPOU about the same thing, doing a presentation on critical race theory, and kind of just pushing the idea of the different goals of the Racial Equality Initiative. At the moment, again, we're just focused on Anoka Hennepin, but I do think that my goal, my mission is spreading throughout the state. I hope to be in all corners of the state soon. So then after we do achieve it in Anoka Hennepin, we can kind of go much more broad and kind of make it a statewide effort as well. So I want to thank Mary again for inviting me here, and I'll be here after the meeting if you have any questions for me as well. Thank you.
Now I'm going to ask that I have your attention for about another 7 minutes, because you do not want to miss this video we're going to show you. Remember, I've been talking about that original Black Panther leader from 1967. He keeps a low profile. A lot of these people are still targeted, not for the original things that they were targeted for, but just because they do show up and talk against the Democratic Party. I am going to tell you his name. He lives in St. Paul. He's been in Minnesota for 30 years. He describes himself as a traditionalist. He has criticized not the Democratic Party, but praised President Trump for President Trump's stance on free speech and for policies that actually help the black community. The gentleman's name is Larry Pinkney. He's 71 years old now, and he is just an absolute joy to speak with. He wanted to be here this evening, but due to security reasons, he felt it best he not show up. He's interviewed regularly on YouTube on a show called Band Video, and the host is Darren McBreen. And Kendall, do you want to push the magic button here? This is a special interview titled "Here Comes the Purge," where Larry is being interviewed by Darren
Our very eyes, we are seeing the globalist deep state at work. Black Lives Matter and Antifa. What a terrible, terrible blight upon all people. Antifa, which they claim means anti-fascist, is absurd, ludicrous, and totally opposite of what they claim to be. They are not anti-fascist, they are fascist. Black Lives Matter, if they ruse, R-U-S-E. If Black Lives Matter, then why can't we do something about what is happening black on black, feeling black, in places like Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore, Washington, D.C. It's an endless list that won't be met. So the bottom line here is that it's about divide, confusion, chaos, and conquer. What we're watching here is the insanity, and particularly the deep state Democrats and their seditious, despicable, lying media are fanning the flame. I urge all of my brothers and sisters, don't go for the ghost. Okay, don't be too goodly, bamboozled. Okay, understand that we are in this struggle as patriots, as U.S. citizens, together. What we have on our side is we have each other. Each other. That's extremely powerful, and that's something that the media, the deep state Democrats, and the Rhino Republicans, for that matter, they don't want you to know that. They want you to think that you're alone, you're by yourself.
On our way out, be aware that Hennepin County Sheriff Deputy fatally shot a murder suspect this afternoon at the intersection of Fremont Avenue South and West Lake Street. It's in that uptown area. Police were not involved, but deputies and possibly federal marshals were pursuing the suspect. There's no other information, but this is something, of course, the media may not tell the truth on and will not may use against us too. So again, we have to say a lot of prayers and stay strong. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you, Kendall Qualls. Thank you for the